Wow, you are about to learn all about the solar system. It's going to be an amazing adventure. Our solar system is an incredible place to explore. Just ask this astronaut, all right? I mean, actually, the astronaut looks busy. We'll wait on that, okay? Keep doing stuff in space, all right, astronaut? Well, anyway, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn about the moon and its phases. You'll literally be able to look outside at the moon and know exactly what phase it's in. Then we'll learn about the only star in our solar system, the sun. And then we'll learn about each of the planets in our solar system and what makes them unique. Let's get ready to blast off. The first stop is the moon. The moon. When you go to sleep at night, resting well after another exciting day, there is this bright, amazing thing in the sky. It looks a lot bigger to us than the stars and is almost like Earth's nightlight. We are going to learn about that incredible thing that we see at night called the moon. We call it the moon because it is our moon. Earth only has one moon, which is different than many other planets. In our solar system alone, there are over 200 moons. Isn't that incredible? In our solar system alone, there are over 200 moons. But out of all these moons, our moon is the most special to us, and we hope you'll see just how awesome it truly is as we learn about our little friend in the solar system, the moon. It's interesting, the moon really is our little friend in the solar system. The moon is always there for us, and we are always there for the moon. Love you, buddy. You see, the moon orbits Earth, meaning it goes around and around our planet. It's almost like the moon is playing a game with the Earth. It's almost like a carousel going around and around and around. The moon continually orbits Earth. Things that orbit our planet, that go around and around and around the Earth, are called satellites. Satellites. Anything that orbits our planet is a satellite. The moon is a natural satellite. It's an object we did not create that orbits our planet. The moon is a natural satellite. Isn't that cool? Here is an example of an artificial satellite. It is something people made that orbits Earth. They cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make and can do all kinds of awesome things in space. But this video isn't about artificial satellites, right? It's about Earth's largest natural satellite. Yeah, the moon! The moon is the Earth's largest natural satellite. Here is another interesting fact about the moon. The moon is made of rock and metal, just like the Earth is. That's right, the moon is made of rock and metal. You may have heard someone say that the moon is made up of something else, something more silly. For hundreds of years, people have joked that the moon is made of cheese, but that's just a funny, silly thing people have joked about. And even if it was made of cheese, what if it went bad? Eek, the smell. How would you feel if the moon was made of cheese? Okay. So the moon isn't made of cheese. The moon is made of rock and metal, just like the Earth is. Hey, would you like to find out just how fast the moon is moving right now? Because the moon is always orbiting Earth. But how fast? Check this out. The moon goes over 1 mile every 2 seconds. That's over half a mile a second. That's crazy fast. The moon, this massive natural satellite made of rock and metal, is going over 1 mile every 2 seconds. Let's count. 1, 2, another mile. Hey, another one. The moon is moving so fast, it only takes about 27 days for the moon to completely orbit Earth. Woo! Don't get in the moon's way, right? We've learned so much already. Let's review what we've learned about the moon. Okay, that's definitely a fake shooting star. Did we really need to add that? It did look cool, though. There are over 200 moons in our solar system. Earth only has one moon. We call it the moon, which makes sense. The moon is a natural satellite. Satellites are things that orbit Earth. It orbits pretty quickly. The moon goes 1 mile every 2 seconds. Okay, stop the music. Stop the music. We're all gonna go to sleep with this music on. We need something more upbeat. We're talking about how fast the moon is. It's cool. It's exciting, okay? Yes, this is more like it. Let's talk about how fast the moon is again, but with this fancy music. The moon goes 1 mile every 2 seconds. The moon is so fast, it only takes about 27 days for the moon to completely orbit Earth. Wow. And we learned, like the Earth, the moon is made of rock and metal. That'll work. Wow, what a review. What a review. All right, now it's time to solve a mystery. Are you ready? Okay. So, let's look at this footage. What color is the moon? Yeah, it's like this yellowish color. Now look at this footage. It's white, but then it kind of turns gray and then white again and gray. It's like this whitish gray. Same moon, right? Same moon, different colors, though. Well, one thing's for sure. The moon itself doesn't change color. The moon is always gray. When Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon, it was gray. It is still gray. The moon itself doesn't change color. So why does the moon appear in different colors to us here on Earth? The biggest reason is because of our atmosphere, which is made up of all of the gases that surround our planet. When we look into space, we are looking through all of the surrounding gases, which can change what things look like. That's why the moon can look like it is changing colors to us. Okay, now we come to a very important fact about the moon. The moon doesn't make its own light, it reflects the light of the sun. Let's say that again. The moon doesn't make its own light, it reflects the light of the sun. This makes sense because remember, the moon is made of rock and metal, which aren't able to produce their own light. No one picks up a rock and says, "Woohoo, I'm gonna use this as a flashlight," because the rock doesn't make light. But that same rock, if the light shining on it is bright enough, will reflect light. That's what the moon does. The moon reflects the light from the sun. Now this is cool. Have you ever wondered why sometimes the moon is a full circle and sometimes it's almost like it isn't even there? It's like the amount of light the moon is reflecting changes. Well, we would like to show you the 8 phases of the moon. These phases are the reason the moon can look different throughout the month. 8 phases. How can we remember that the moon has 8 phases? The moon has 8 phases. Okay. It takes a month for the moon to go through all 8 phases, and then it starts all over again. So in a month's time, you can see all 8 phases of the moon. Wow, the moon is a natural satellite made of rock and metal that completely orbits Earth every 27 days. It doesn't make light, but reflects the light of the sun. How much light the moon reflects can change depending on what phase it is in. There are 8 phases of the moon. It takes the moon a month to go through all 8 phases. And if you ever look into the sky and see a red moon or a yellow moon, remember our atmosphere can change the appearance of the moon, but the moon itself never changes color. It is always gray. Well, that's our little friend in the solar system, the moon. There are over 200 moons in our solar system, but the moon is ours. We'll see you tonight, buddy. All right, let's take some time to learn the 8 phases of the moon. We'll learn all 8 of them. You know, sometimes the moon looks like this, and you might think, hey, that's just what the moon looks like. But other times, the moon might look like a complete circle. Well, as we just learned, that's because the moon goes through phases. The phases of the moon change what the moon looks like to us here on Earth. Here are the phases of the moon. If you count them, you'll see there are 8 phases of the moon. These are the phases of the moon. Notice in one phase, you don't see the moon at all, and in another phase, you can see the entire moon. So these 8 phases have a big impact on what the moon looks like to us. Soon, you'll know all 8 of them. All right, let's jump right in and learn these phases of the moon. Starting with the first phase of the moon, it's called a new moon. If you're wondering where it is, join the club. It's actually right here where the arrow is pointing. And notice you can't see a new moon. That's right, it looks like it just isn't there. So why can't we see a new moon? Well, during a new moon, the moon is in between the sun and the earth. Because of this, it can't reflect the sun's light toward us. So during a new moon, we can't really see the moon. That's pretty interesting. Now, after a new moon, the moon starts waxing. What? Yeah, waxing. What is that supposed to mean? Well, waxing means growing. When the moon is waxing, it is getting bigger. Notice the moon begins waxing after a new moon and grows until it becomes a full moon. Waxing means growing. After a new moon, the moon continues waxing until it becomes a full moon. Just remember, waxing means growing. All right, we're ready for phase number 2. And look at this number 2, so cool, so icy, so awesome. The second phase of the moon is called a waxing crescent. A waxing crescent. That's an interesting name for this. A waxing crescent. Waxing, of course, means that it is growing bigger, and it is called a crescent moon because less than half of the moon looks lit. If you live in the northern hemisphere, the part of the world that is north of the equator, a waxing crescent is always lit on the right side. Hey, check this out. Here is a photo of a waxing crescent. Less than half of the moon looks lit. If you live in the northern hemisphere, north of the equator, a waxing crescent is always lit on the right side. This crescent moon is waxing because it is growing. This is the phase of the moon after a new moon. Waxing crescent. Okay, you are ready for phase number 3. That's right. The third phase of the moon is called first quarter. First quarter. Which at first might seem a little weird. See, the moon is half lit with a first quarter moon. So what's the deal? Shouldn't first quarter be called 1/2 moon? Well, when you have a first quarter moon, you are 1/4 or 1/4 of the way through the lunar cycle. You can see all 8 phases of the moon here. A first quarter moon tells you that you are a quarter of the way through all 8 phases. So a first quarter moon is half lit, and because the moon is still waxing or growing, in the northern hemisphere the right side is lit. Exactly 1/2 of a first quarter moon is lit, and it is lit on the right side because it is waxing. All right, we are ready for the next phase. The next phase is called the waxing gibbous. Waxing gibbous. Wow. Weird name. A waxing gibbous is more than half lit, but not quite fully lit. It is the 4th phase of the moon. A waxing gibbous is more than half lit and, like all of the waxing moons, is lit on the right side. Here is a photograph of a waxing gibbous. Can you say that with me? Waxing gibbous. Softer. Waxing gibbous. finally, let's say it so everyone can hear it. Waxing gibbous. Great. The cool thing about a waxing gibbous moon is that when you see it, you know a full moon is on its way. And sure enough, phase number 5 is... Wait, Mr. Whiskers, you need to eat right now? Mr. Whiskers, this is not a convenient time. We're about to talk about a full moon and everything. Okay, I understand. No kitties should wait. All right, there you go. There you go. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Phase number 5 of the moon. Enjoy, Mr. Whiskers. Phase number 5. The 5th phase is a full moon. It is the easiest phase to spot. A full moon is completely lit. It is a full circle. Is there anything else to say about it? It's full, it's a full moon, and once the moon is full, it is all done waxing because it can't grow anymore. It's done waxing. Which means it will look like the moon is getting smaller and smaller. The fancy moon word for that is waning. Waning. That's an interesting word. Waning. The moon always begins waning after a full moon. But just like waxing, waning is a process. It doesn't happen all at once. Okay, so the moon begins waning after a full moon. It starts waning, appearing smaller and smaller until finally you can't even see it anymore. When you can't see the moon, remember, that is a new moon. The first phase we talked about. Waning starts with a full moon and ends with a new moon. When the moon is waning, it looks like it is getting smaller and smaller. Now, after a full moon, we have phase number 6, a waning gibbous. Wow, a waning gibbous. As you can see, a waning gibbous is similar to a waxing gibbous, except instead of getting bigger every day, it is waning or getting smaller. A waning gibbous is more than half lit, and in the northern hemisphere, it is lit on the left side instead of the right side. That tells you that this is a waning gibbous. It is getting smaller and smaller. Next, we have the 7th phase of the moon. You know, the easiest way to learn the 7th phase might be to look at it with the other phases. Here are all 8 phases of the moon. The 7th phase is right here. It is called the last quarter. The last quarter means you only have a quarter of the lunar cycle left. A quarter means 1/4. You are in the last quarter of the lunar cycle when you have a last quarter moon, so that name makes sense. Just like a first quarter moon, a last quarter moon is half lit. But because the moon is waning during a last quarter moon, the moon is lit on the left side. Quarter moons are always half lit. If you live in the northern hemisphere, the last quarter is always lit on the left side. Well, the moon has been waning, getting smaller and smaller. There's only one more phase before we start the cycle all over again. That's right, we are on phase number 8. The last phase of the moon is a waning crescent. A waning crescent. A waning crescent is less than half lit. All crescent moons are less than half lit. To figure out if a crescent moon is a waning or waxing crescent moon, just look at the side it is lit on. Waning moons are always lit on the left side, so a waning crescent is less than half lit and is lit on the left side like you see right here. Those are all 8 phases of the moon. Pretty cool. If you have a favorite, you won't have to wait long before you see it because it only takes a month for the moon to go through all 8 phases. That means all of this just takes 1 month. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. All right, you know what? It's time for a game. We're going to see how much we learned about the phases of the moon. Let's call it the Phases of the Moon game. Yeah, that's a good name for it. Are you ready to play? Okay. Ooh, fancy music. We'll go in order just like in nature. What is this phase called? Yes, a new moon. Fantastic. And of course, you can't see a new moon. It's like it's hiding. What is this phase called? A waxing crescent. Crescent moons are less than half lit, and this moon is lit on the right side, so it must be a waxing crescent. Great job. What is this phase called? It's half lit. Yeah, first quarter. This is a first quarter moon. Very cool. How about this moon? What is this phase called? A waxing gibbous. A waxing gibbous, yep. A gibbous moon is more than half lit, but is not quite full yet. And we know it is a waxing gibbous because it is lit on the right side. Great. What is this next phase? What is it called? You got it, a full moon. A full moon is easy to spot in the night sky. It is completely lit. A full moon. You are doing awesome. How about this next phase? What is this phase? A waning gibbous. That's right, a waning gibbous. After a full moon, the moon begins waning or getting smaller. A waning gibbous is more than half lit, just like a waxing gibbous, but is lit on the left side. You are doing a tremendous job. Let's try this one. What is this phase called? Do you remember? Yeah, last quarter. This is a last quarter moon. It is half lit and begins the last quarter of the lunar cycle. A last quarter moon. How about this last one? What is this phase called? Great! A waning crescent. A waning crescent. It is less than half lit, which is what makes it a crescent moon, and it is lit on the left side, so it is waning. Every month, the moon goes through all of the phases. The moon goes around and around, waxing and waning. It's pretty amazing. Well, you know all 8 phases of the moon. Tell your friends. Tell a dog. Tell a cat. Tell a hamster. Whatever. Just tell someone. Because that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you know all 8 phases of the moon. Awesome job learning about the moon and its phases. Oh my goodness, you did great. You did great. Let's stretch for a moment. Oh, there we go. Very cool. You know what? I think we're ready. Okay? Next, we are going to learn about a massive star in the center of our solar system. What is it called? Yeah, the sun. Actually, the sun is the only star in our solar system, but still, it is huge, it is bright, and without it, life on Earth wouldn't exist, so it is super important. But let's start here. The first fact about the sun we want to learn is that the sun is just a regular star. That's right, it's just a regular star. There are hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy called the Milky Way galaxy. But the sun is special to us, right? Because it is in the center of our solar system, but the sun really is a regular star. Like other stars, the sun uses hydrogen to burn bright. Hydrogen is the sun's fuel, just like food is our fuel and gasoline is the fuel used by cars. The sun uses hydrogen as fuel. If you're wondering what hydrogen is a gas found all over our universe. And it's hard to see because it doesn't have any color to it. But it's all over the place. In fact, hydrogen is the most common element in our universe. So stars use a gas called hydrogen as fuel. The larger the star, the faster it burns through hydrogen. Thankfully, the sun has at least a 5 billion year supply of hydrogen left. So the sun will keep burning for a long time. Here's an interesting question. How far is Earth from the sun? How far is our planet from this huge star in the center of our solar system? Well, it's pretty far away. The sun is about 93 million miles away from Earth. That's right, about 93 million miles away from our planet, Earth. And it's a good thing. It's a great thing that the sun is about 93 million miles away, because if we were any closer to the sun, it would be way too hot to sustain life. And if we were further away, we would all freeze. It would be way too cold. So the sun is the perfect distance away from the Earth. Of course, having a huge star 93 million miles away helps us to see things, right? It is helpful to have a massive burning light in the middle of our solar system that runs on hydrogen. I mean, can you imagine living in a world without light? It would be like this. This is what our world would be like without sunlight. It would just be dark. You know, we wouldn't be able to see anything. We'd be like bumping into each other and it'd be crazy. We'd be like, oh, wow, is that a mountain or is that a chicken? Or what's going on? Where am I? What's going on? The sunlight allows our eyes to see what's going on around us. But the sun provides more than just sunlight. The sun provides energy. One powerful way the sun provides energy is through a process called photosynthesis. Wow, that's a big word. Can you say that with us? Photosynthesis. Yeah, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is how plants make plant food and produce oxygen. Without sunlight, plants cannot make plant food or release oxygen. You know, plants are not alone in using sunlight for energy. We use sunlight for energy as well. The energy we get from sunlight is called solar energy. Just like plants capture sunlight in the process of photosynthesis, people capture sunlight using these things called solar panels. Isn't that cool? Here are two men installing solar panels. The sun is powerful. It is awesome to see how we can use some of its energy to get power and electricity. It has been so much fun learning about the sun with you. We learned that the sun is the only star in our solar system. Do you remember where in our solar system the sun is? Right in the middle. Yeah. Like other stars, it uses hydrogen as fuel. Thankfully, it has a lot of hydrogen, so it will keep burning and burning for a long time. We learned that the sun is about 93 million miles away, which is actually the perfect distance. If the sun was further away, it would be too cold. If it was closer, this planet would be way too hot. We also learned that the sun not only provides light, it brings energy. Plants use energy from the sun in a process called photosynthesis, and people get energy from the sun using things like solar panels. Energy from the sun is called solar energy. The sun, a regular star, but it is special to us. It's our star. Very cool. You did awesome. We first learned about the moon. We just learned about the sun. For the rest of this video, we are going to learn about the planets of the solar system. That's right, the planets. This is going to be great. Now, as we begin, we have to answer this question. What are planets? This is a really good question. What are planets? Planets are round objects that orbit the sun. The word orbit means to circle around. That means planets are round objects that circle around the sun. Hey, what 3D shape is a planet? Think about it. What 3D shape is a planet? We know that a planet is round. What 3D shape is perfectly round? Yeah, a sphere. Yeah, planets are spheres. They're perfectly round. Good job. To summarize, planets are spheres that go around the sun. Pretty simple, huh? Hey, did you know there are 2 types of planets? Yeah, it's really interesting. There are 2 types of planets. Okay, so there are primary planets and there are dwarf planets. Those are the 2 types of planets. Now, there are 8 primary planets. These are the main planets that you think of, the main planets that are circling around the sun, and these are the planets we're going to be studying in this video. And then there are 5 dwarf planets. These planets are a lot smaller and are not considered primary planets. Sorry, Pluto. Wow, there they are, the primary planets. You're gonna get to know all 8 of these primary planets. You're gonna know them so well. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be awesome. The first planet is Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. The second planet is Venus. Pretty cool, huh? The second planet is Venus. Our planet, Earth, is the third planet from the sun. The fourth planet is Mars. Mars is the 4th planet. The 5th planet is Jupiter. That's the biggest planet of them all. The 6th planet is Saturn. You gotta love those rings. Saturn is the 6th planet. Uranus is the 7th planet. And the 8th planet is Neptune. Neptune is the furthest primary planet from the sun. Let's look at each of the 8 primary planets. The first planet is Mercury. Here's where Mercury is. It is the closest planet to the sun, okay? The sun is super duper hot, so guess what? Mercury is a really, really hot planet. In fact, Mercury is 4 times hotter than boiling water. Have you ever seen boiling water? It's so hot. It's boiling. It can cook things. It's really, really hot. If you barely touch it, you will hurt yourself so bad. Well, Mercury is 4 times hotter than that. Oh my goodness. It is a very hot planet. 4 times hotter than boiling water. Mercury is one of the rocky planets. There are 4 rocky planets, and Mercury is one of them. Oh, and Mercury, it is the smallest primary planet. Mercury is so much smaller than the other planets. Tiny little baby Mercury. It's the smallest planet of the primary planets. So if you think a small planet, think of Mercury. It's small, it's hot, you wouldn't want to live there. The next planet, planet 2, is Venus. Venus is right here. It's the second planet from the sun. Now this is interesting. Venus is called Earth's twin. And the reason for that is they are a very similar size. They're almost the same size. And what's interesting, they're both rocky planets, just like Mercury is. And Earth and Venus are made of similar rocks. So they're pretty much the same size, very similar size, and they're made of the same stuff. It's almost like the Earth and the planet Venus are twins. Hey, did you know every day on Venus is a cloudy day? And the clouds are yellow! Oh, that's such a gross color for clouds. Clouds are much better when they're other colors than yellow, so the sunlight doesn't actually hit the surface of Venus. It's just a cloudy day, every day, forever, but that's okay because there's no life on Venus, so nobody's crying about it. And this is cool. Venus is the closest planet to Earth. It is the easiest planet to see in the sky. You don't even need a telescope. How cool is that? The third planet is, well, ours, the Earth. The Earth is the third planet. Here's where the Earth is. Yep, it's the third planet from the sun. By the way, these planets never line up like this. We just have it like this so you can see the order of the planets, but they're normally very, very jumbled. They don't line up like this. Just wanted to share that. But the Earth is the third planet from the sun. Here's a picture of the ocean and some seagulls that are in some of the shallow parts of the water. It's interesting. Earth is the only planet we know of that has oceans and life on it. Earth is one of the rocky planets. Yeah, we live on a massive rock that has oceans, that has life. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Remember, 4 of the planets are rocky planets. Earth has one moon. The moon orbits the Earth, like the Earth orbits the sun. Wow, there's our planet. That's where we live, the Earth. The 4th planet is Mars. Mars is right here, in between Earth and Jupiter. What color is Mars? Look at Mars. What color is that? Yeah, it's kind of like a reddish orange. Because of its color, Mars is called the red planet. So if anyone asks you, what's the red planet? Tell them, hey, the red planet is Mars. Even though it is red, it is not hot. It is much colder than Earth because remember, Mars is further from the sun than the Earth. So Mars, it's red, it almost looks like it would be hot, but it's cold. Hey, is there life on Mars? That's a really good question that a lot of scientists have been trying to answer for a long time. Well, scientists believe there used to be water on Mars. If there was water, there may have been life, and even stranger, there are some scientists that believe we may still find basic forms of life still living on Mars. Mars is the 4th rocky planet. Remember, we said there are only 4 rocky planets, so it's the last of the rocky planets. Mars has volcanoes and valleys just like Earth. They're just sometimes much bigger. In fact, there's a volcano on Mars that's as big as the state of Texas. Wow, huge. And this is kind of cool. Mars has 2 moons. They are both very small, okay? They're small moons, which is good. You know, Mars has a couple moons. It's nice. We've got a moon. Mars has 2 moons, you know? Mars is the 4th planet from the sun, and it's in between the Earth and Jupiter. The 5th planet is Jupiter. Jupiter, the first of the gas planets. Here is where Jupiter is. It's the massive planet between Mars and Saturn. I mean, Jupiter is huge. It's the biggest planet in our solar system. In fact, all of the other planets could fit in Jupiter and there would be extra room. All of the other planets could fit inside of Jupiter. That's how big Jupiter is. And this is amazing. Jupiter has at least 63 moons. And we say at least because they're still discovering more. Wow! And because Jupiter is a gas planet, if you ever visited it, you would just fall right through. Just kidding. You would float. I mean, they wouldn't fall. The gravity wouldn't be there. You would just kind of float around and, you know. Jupiter is the giant gas planet in between Mars and Saturn. The 6th planet is Saturn, another gas planet. Here is Saturn, the 6th planet from the sun. You could spot it easily because of those huge rings, and it's in between Jupiter and Uranus. Hey, did you know Saturn's rings are made of ice? Oh my goodness, how cool that must be! Whew, icy rings. Those rings are made of ice. Wow. Like Jupiter, Saturn has a lot of moons. Saturn has 62 moons. Wow, tons and tons of moons. What's up with Jupiter and Saturn, right? And this is pretty awesome. Saturn is the farthest planet you can see without a telescope. That's right, you can see Saturn with your own eyes without a telescope.
Look, Mommy and Daddy, I see Saturn with my own eyes. Yes, Saturn, I see the rings and everything.
Saturn is a gas planet that's the 6th planet from the Sun and is in between Jupiter and Uranus. The 7th planet is Uranus, another gas planet. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun and is in between Saturn and Neptune. Both Uranus and Neptune are the only planets you can't see without a telescope, so it took a while for them to be discovered. Now this is neat. William Herschel discovered Uranus in 1781. It took us a long time to finally find the planet Uranus. Uranus is a gas planet that is made of gas and liquid. What's cool is Uranus has rings just like Saturn has rings. Yeah. Scientists believe the rings of Uranus could be pieces of broken moons. We don't know for sure, but that's really fascinating if that's the case. Speaking of moons, Uranus has 27 moons. 27 moons! I mean, we just have one, 27! Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun and is in between Saturn and Neptune. The 8th and final planet is Neptune. Hey, that means the first 4 planets are rocky planets, and the last 4 planets are gas planets. So here is where Neptune is. It's the furthest planet from the Sun. Like Uranus, Neptune is a gas planet that is also made of liquid. Neptune was discovered in 1846 when Uranus was being studied. They were like, wait a second, there's a whole nother planet here on the end. Let's call it Neptune. Neptune is known for its storms, the worst storms in the solar system. In fact, winds reach over 1,000 miles per hour on Neptune. Whoo, that's pretty intense. Neptune has 14 known moons, but scientists believe there may be more. Here's Neptune, the furthest planet from the Sun. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The first 4 planets are rocky planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are rocky planets. The 4 planets furthest from the Sun are the gas planets. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are gas planets. Awesome! You did such an amazing job learning about the solar system, from our moon to the sun and each of the planets. I'm really impressed! Anything to add, astronaut? This astronaut is impressed too, I think. I can tell. I feel like I can tell, alright? I think so. Wow, thanks for learning all about the solar system with me. I hope you had a blast. If you enjoyed this and haven't subscribed yet, be sure to click that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. I want to give a special thanks to my patrons for making videos like this possible, and thank you for watching. You are so awesome, and I'll see you next video.